Welcome, dear traveller of the night, to this gentle journey through the mists of time and the shadows of history. As you settle into your comfortable space, letting the weight of the day slip away like silk through fingers, know that you've found a peaceful harbour where curiosity meets tranquility. Tonight, we embark on a voyage through 100 of history's most captivating unsolved mysteries, each one a doorway into wonder, a whisper from ages past that still echoes in our collective imagination. Let your breathing slow and deepen, allow your muscles to soften and release, and prepare your mind for a dreamlike exploration of the questions that have puzzled humanity for centuries. These are not tales meant to startle or alarm, but rather gentle invitations to ponder, to wonder, and perhaps to drift into dreams where ancient secrets reveal themselves in the theatre of sleep. As we wander through these mysteries together, you may find your consciousness floating between waking and sleeping, between knowing and wondering, and that liminal space is exactly where these stories live most beautifully. Before we begin our journey into these veils of mystery, I invite you to become part of our peaceful community. If these gentle explorations help you find rest and fascination in equal measure, perhaps you might consider touching that like button with a drowsy finger and subscribing to join our family of night wanderers. In the comments below, share with us where in the world you're listening from and what time paints your sky right now. Your presence here creates a web of connection across time zones, a fellowship of souls seeking knowledge wrapped in tranquility. Together, we create a sanctuary where learning and rest intertwine. Our first mystery carries us to the scorching sands of ancient Egypt, where the Great Sphinx of Giza guards secrets older than memory itself. This limestone sentinel, with the body of a lion and the head of a human, stretches 240 feet in length and rises 66 feet into the desert sky. Yet, despite centuries of study, we still cannot say with certainty who carved this magnificent guardian or when exactly it emerged from the bedrock of the Giza Plateau. Some evidence suggests it may be far older than the pyramids it seems to watch over, perhaps by thousands of years. Water erosion patterns on its body hint at exposure to prolonged rainfall, something that hasn't blessed this region for millennia. The Sphinx seems to hold, within its weathered form, the memories of a time when the Sahara bloomed green and rivers flowed where now only sand whispers. Drifting northward through time's corridors, we encounter the enigma of the Voynich Manuscript, a medieval codex that has defied every attempt at translation for over 600 years. Written in an unknown script that flows like water across vellum pages, illustrated with bizarre plants that exist nowhere in nature, and astronomical diagrams that follow no known celestial patterns, this book remains utterly unreadable. Carbon dating places its creation in the early 15th century, yet its purpose, its author, and its meaning float just beyond our grasp, like smoke in moonlight. The manuscript contains approximately 240 pages filled with what appears to be purposeful text, organized into what seem to be chapters and sections, suggesting this was no random creation, but a deliberate work of mysterious intent. Scholars have proposed everything from an elaborate hoax to an encoded alchemical treatise, yet the manuscript keeps its silence, a testament to secrets that perhaps were meant to remain hidden. In the crystal-clear waters of the Bahamas lies an underwater formation known as the Bimini Road, a half-mile-long arrangement of rectangular limestone blocks that appears almost too perfect to be natural. Discovered in 1968, these massive stones rest in about 15 feet of water, arranged in what seems to be a deliberate pattern reminiscent of an ancient harbor or roadway. Each block weighs several tons, and they fit together with a precision that suggests intelligent design. Yet, geological studies indicate these stones have been submerged for at least 10,000 years, long before any known civilization in this region possessed the technology to create such structures. Some dreamers connect this formation to Plato's Atlantis, while scientists debate whether nature herself might be the architect. The stones lie there still, visible through the crystalline Caribbean waters, a pathway that leads nowhere and everywhere at once, inviting us to imagine civilizations swallowed by rising seas. The disappearance of the princes in the tower remains one of England's most haunting mysteries, a tale of two young boys who vanished into the stone embrace of the Tower of London and never emerged. In 1483, 12-year-old King Edward V and his 9-year-old brother Richard were lodged in the tower, ostensibly for Edward's protection before his coronation. Their uncle, who would become Richard III, declared them illegitimate and took the throne for himself. The boys were seen playing in the tower gardens, their laughter echoing off ancient walls, until one day they simply weren't there anymore. No bodies were found, no witnesses came forward, and history swallowed them whole. In 1674, workmen found bones beneath a staircase that might have been theirs, but modern science cannot confirm this with certainty. The tower keeps its secrets well, and somewhere in its shadows, the truth about two lost princes remains hidden, a reminder that even royal blood cannot always protect the innocent. Across the Pacific, on a remote Chilean island, stand the moai of Easter Island, nearly 1,000 stone giants gazing out to sea with eyes that have witnessed centuries pass like days. These monolithic statues, some standing 30 feet tall and weighing over 70 tons, were carved and transported by the Rapa Nui people using methods that remain partially mysterious. How did a population that numbered only a few thousand move these massive stones across miles of rough terrain? Recent experiments suggest they may have walked the statues using ropes in a rocking motion, but this doesn't fully explain how the massive stone hats, some weighing 12 tons, were placed atop the heads of statues already standing. The moai seem to guard not just the island, but also the secrets of their creation, silent testimony to human ingenuity, whose full story dissolves into the Pacific mists. In the year 1518, in the city of Strasbourg, then part of the Holy Roman Empire, a strange plague swept through the population, but this was no ordinary disease. The dancing plague, as history remembers it, began when a woman named Frau Trophea stepped into the street and began to dance. She danced without rest, without music, without reason, and within a week, 34 others had joined her. Within a month, 400 citizens were dancing themselves into exhaustion, their feet bloody, their bodies failing, some dancing literally to death. The city's authorities, believing the affliction could be danced out, erected stages and hired musicians, which only spread the mysterious compulsion further. Then, as suddenly as it began, the dancing stopped, leaving behind only questions. Was it mass hysteria? Ergot poisoning from contaminated grain? A form of religious ecstasy? The streets of Strasbourg remember the sound of those desperate dancing feet, but they keep the cause of the dance locked away in time's vault. Deep beneath the waters off Japan's Yonaguni Island lies a massive stone structure that challenges our understanding of ancient history. Discovered in 1987, the Yonaguni Monument appears to be a stepped pyramid, complete with terraces, stairs, and what seem to be carved pathways. If artificial, it would have been above sea level over 12,000 years ago, during the last ice age, suggesting a sophisticated civilization existed far earlier than conventional history allows. Marine geologists remain divided, some seeing clear tool marks and architectural planning, others attributing the formation to unusual but natural tectonic activity. The structure spans an area larger than a football field, its highest point rising about 90 feet from the sea floor. Fish now swim through what might be ancient corridors, and algae covers what could be ceremonial platforms, while above, the debate continues about whether nature or human hands shaped this underwater enigma. The lost colony of Roanoke whispers to us across 4 centuries, an entire community that vanished between one visit and the next, leaving behind only the word Croatoan carved into a wooden post. In 1587, 115 English colonists established a settlement on Roanoke Island off the coast of what is now North Carolina. Their governor, John White, sailed back to England for supplies, but war delayed his return for 3 years. When he finally returned in 1590, he found the settlement deserted, the houses dismantled, no signs of struggle, no bodies, no notes except that single word. Croatoan was the name of a nearby island and a local Native American tribe, but searches there revealed no trace of the colonists. Did they integrate with local tribes? Did they attempt to sail home and perish at sea? Did something more mysterious befall them? The American coast keeps this secret, and Roanoke remains a name that conjures the fear and fascination of the utterly inexplicable. In the hills of Romania stands Hoia Baciu Forest, often called the world's most haunted forest, though its mysteries extend far beyond simple ghost stories. This ancient woodland harbors a perfectly circular clearing where nothing grows, where soil samples show no abnormalities, yet vegetation refuses to take root. Trees throughout the forest grow in impossible spirals and sharp angles, as if responding to forces we cannot perceive. Electronic devices malfunction within its borders, compasses spin wildly, and visitors report missing time, emerging from what felt like minutes to discover hours have passed. In 1968, a military technician photographed what appeared to be a disc-shaped object hovering above the tree line, beginning decades of UFO sightings. Local legends speak of a shepherd who disappeared into the forest with 200 sheep, never to return. Scientists have found magnetic anomalies and unusual radioactive signatures, but no explanation that satisfies all the phenomena. The forest stands there still, its twisted trees reaching toward the sky like question marks drawn by nature herself. Beneath the bustling streets of Paris lies an empire of the dead, the famous catacombs that hold 6 million souls in their limestone embrace. But beyond the mapped tunnels that tourists visit lies a vast network of unmapped passages, some say over 200 miles of shadowy corridors that few have fully explored. These forgotten tunnels hold mysteries beyond counting, including chambers that appear on no official map, walls covered in symbols whose meaning has been lost, and stories of explorers who ventured too deep and never returned. Urban explorers speak in whispers of finding rooms furnished from centuries past, perfectly preserved, as if their occupants stepped out moments ago. The limestone walls seem to absorb sound and light in unusual ways, creating pockets of absolute darkness and silence that defy explanation. The French government has sealed many entrances, but the tunnels remain, a hidden world beneath the city of light, where mysteries accumulate, like dust in places no living foot has tread for generations. The Antikythera mechanism speaks to us from the bottom of the Aegean Sea, where it rested for 2,000 years before divers discovered it in 1900. This ancient Greek device, no larger than a shoebox, contains at least 37 meshing bronze gears of such complexity that nothing comparable would be created for another 1,000 years. It predicted astronomical positions, eclipses, and the cycles of the Olympic Games with stunning accuracy. Yet we don't know who built it, why only one has ever been found, or how such advanced knowledge was lost so completely. The mechanism suggests the ancients possessed understanding we've only recently rediscovered, hidden within corroded bronze gears that shouldn't exist. It reminds us that human knowledge doesn't always move forward, that sometimes we forget more than we learn, and that the ancients may have held secrets we're only beginning to rediscover. In the Amazon rainforest, satellite imagery has revealed massive geometric earthworks hidden beneath the canopy, evidence of a sophisticated pre-Columbian civilization that challenges everything we thought we knew about the Amazon basin. These geoglyphs, some spanning several hundred meters, form perfect squares, circles, and complex geometric patterns that would have required advanced planning and thousands of workers to create. Dated to between 1 and 2,000 years ago, they suggest the Amazon was once home to complex societies with engineering capabilities we're only beginning to understand. The structures seem to have served ceremonial rather than defensive purposes, their precise alignments possibly relating to astronomical observations. How did these ancient peoples clear and maintain such massive areas in the dense rainforest? What knowledge allowed them to create geometric perfection on such a scale? The jungle has reclaimed most of their civilization, leaving only these earthen drawings as testimony to their existence. Time to gently float into another mystery that has captivated archaeologists for decades. The Plain of Jars in Laos presents us with thousands of massive stone jars scattered across the landscape, some weighing up to 14 tons, carved from solid rock with a precision that speaks of incredible skill. Created between 1500 and 2000 years ago, these jars cluster in groups across miles of countryside, their purpose lost to time. Local legends speak of giants who used them to brew rice wine for a victorious army, while archaeologists have found human remains nearby, suggesting they may have been part of elaborate burial rituals. But why create such massive containers? How were they transported across difficult terrain? The jars stand silent under the Southeast Asian sky, monuments to a civilization whose story we can only guess at through these stone vessels that once held something we may never know. As we continue our gentle journey through these mysteries, perhaps you're feeling your eyelids growing heavy, your breathing deepening into the rhythm of sleep. If these explorations are helping you find peace tonight, a simple touch of the like button would help others discover this restful space too. The Mary Celeste drifts through history as the archetypal ghost ship found sailing off the Azores in 1872 with no soul aboard, yet everything in perfect order. The ship's cargo of alcohol barrels remained untouched, the crew's possessions undisturbed, the captain's log ending mid-sentence with nothing to indicate trouble. The lifeboat was missing, but the ship showed no signs of struggle or storm damage. 10 people, including the captain's wife and 2-year-old daughter, had simply vanished into the Atlantic air. Theories abound, from piracy to sea monsters to alcohol fumes causing an explosion scare, but none fully explain why experienced sailors would abandon a seaworthy ship in calm conditions. The Mary Celeste was found sailing itself, as if the ocean had gently lifted away its human cargo and left the vessel to continue its journey alone. A reminder that the sea keeps secrets deeper than its darkest trenches. In Turkey, the underground city of Derinkuyu burrows 18 stories into the earth, a massive subterranean complex that once housed 20,000 people. Carved from solid volcanic rock perhaps 3,000 years ago, this underground metropolis includes living quarters, stables, churches, wineries, and a sophisticated ventilation system that still functions today. But we don't know who built it or why they felt the need to hide entire populations underground. The engineering required to maintain air quality and temperature at such depths without modern tools speaks of knowledge we struggle to understand. Connected to other underground cities by miles of tunnels, Derinkuyu suggests an ancient civilization that saw threats we can only imagine, choosing to build down instead of up, creating a hidden world that remained secret for millennia. The Tunguska event of 1908 painted the Siberian sky with light so bright it could be read by in London. Yet what caused this explosion remains one of the 20th century's greatest mysteries. The blast flattened 80 million trees across 830 square miles with the force of 1,000 Hiroshima bombs, yet left no crater. Witnesses described a column of blue light moving across the sky, followed by an explosion that knocked people off their feet hundreds of miles away. Scientists have found microscopic spheres consistent with extraterrestrial origin, but no large meteorite fragments. Theories range from a comet that exploded before impact to antimatter to a miniature black hole passing through Earth. The forest has regrown, but at the epicenter, growth patterns remain unusual, and the soil contains isotopes that shouldn't exist naturally. Whatever visited Tunguska that morning left its signature in flattened forests and scientific controversy that continues to this day. Sailing through the mists of the North Atlantic, we encounter the story of the Flannan Isles Lighthouse, where in December 1900, 3 lighthouse keepers vanished without explanation, leaving behind a mystery that has haunted Scotland for over a century. The lighthouse stood 23 miles west of the Scottish mainland, its light suddenly dark on December 15th. When a relief vessel finally reached the island on December 26th, they found the lighthouse in perfect order, beds made, dishes cleaned, but no trace of the 3 men. The lighthouse log's final entry spoke of severe winds, yet the weather on the mainland had been calm. 1 set of oilskins remained on its hook, suggesting 1 keeper left without protection from the elements. No bodies were ever found, no distress signals sent. The lighthouse stands still, its light restored. But the fate of James Ducat, Thomas Marshall, and Donald MacArthur remains swallowed by the hungry Atlantic, their disappearance a reminder that isolation and mystery often walk hand in hand. In the heart of Africa, the ancient city of Great Zimbabwe rises from the landscape in massive stone walls built without mortar, yet fitting so perfectly that not even a knife blade can slip between the stones. Constructed between the 11th and 15th centuries, this city once housed 18,000 people and controlled vast gold trading networks. Yet we don't know exactly who built it or why it was abandoned. The construction techniques used to create walls 36 feet high and 20 feet thick remain partially mysterious, as does the purpose of the conical tower that stands solid with no windows or doors. Early European explorers refused to believe Africans could build such structures, inventing theories of lost white civilizations. But modern archaeology confirms this was indeed an indigenous African achievement. Still, many questions remain about the specific culture that created it and their reasons for leaving such magnificent architecture to the embrace of time. The Amber Room, once called the 8th wonder of the world, vanished during World War II and has become one of history's greatest lost treasures. This chamber, constructed entirely from 6 tons of amber panels backed with gold leaf and mirrors, was created in Prussia in the early 1700s. When the Nazis invaded Russia, they dismantled the room and transported it to Königsberg, where it was last displayed in 1941. As the Soviets advanced in 1945, the room disappeared, possibly destroyed in bombing, possibly hidden, possibly smuggled away. Searches have continued for decades, following leads to salt mines, sunken ships, and hidden bunkers. Worth an estimated $800 million today, the Amber Room represents more than monetary value. It was art transformed into architecture, sunlight captured in fossilized resin, a room that glowed with inner fire. Somewhere, perhaps, those amber panels wait in darkness, holding within them the light of prehistoric forests and the mystery of their own disappearance. High in the Peruvian Andes, the Nazca Lines stretch across 30 miles of desert plateau, massive drawings visible only from the air, created by a culture that had no known means of flight. These geoglyphs, etched between 500 BCE and 500 CE, depict spiders, hummingbirds, monkeys, and geometric patterns hundreds of feet long. The lines remain visible because the desert's unique climate preserves them, receiving less than an inch of rain per year. But why create art that could only be fully appreciated from heights the artists could never reach? Some lines point to astronomical events. Others seem to mark underground water sources, but no single theory explains them all. Recent discoveries using drone technology have revealed dozens of new figures, including a massive cat figure on a hillside. The Nazca people left no written records, only these vast drawings that speak a language we cannot fully translate. Messages written on the earth itself for readers who might never come. The Kentucky Cave Wars present us with a uniquely American mystery. Beneath Kentucky lies the world's longest known cave system, Mammoth Cave, with over 400 miles of surveyed passages and possibly thousands more unexplored. But the mystery isn't just about what lies in the darkness. It's about the ancient bodies found within, mummified naturally by the cave's conditions, some dating back 4,000 years. These prehistoric explorers ventured miles into absolute darkness, with only reed torches, mining minerals, whose purpose we don't understand. Why did they risk such dangerous journeys into the earth? The caves also contain evidence of a vast prehistoric health spa, with evidence that ancient peoples traveled hundreds of miles to bathe in specific underground pools. Native American artifacts found miles deep suggest the caves held spiritual significance we can only guess at. Modern cavers continue to discover new passages, each one potentially holding clues to why our ancestors were drawn into the Earth's embrace. In Sweden's Lake Vättern, something lurks beneath 500 feet of dark water that shouldn't exist according to conventional geology. Discovered through sonar scanning, a massive circular structure sits on the lakebed, 60 meters in diameter, perfectly round, rising 8 meters from the bottom. Its age, based on sediment analysis, suggests it was created around 9,000 years ago, when the lake was forming after the last ice age. The structure appears artificial, too perfect for natural formation. Yet, who could have built something at such depths? Divers report unusual magnetic fields near the structure and equipment malfunctions that prevent close examination. Local legends speak of a lost city beneath the waters, swallowed when the ice melted. The structure waits in the cold darkness, a circle of mystery in Sweden's deepest waters, challenging our understanding of what ancient peoples could achieve. The disappearance of Flight 19 remains one of the Bermuda Triangle's most documented mysteries, a training mission that flew into legend on December 5, 1945. 5 Navy bombers with 14 crew members vanished without a trace during what should have been a routine exercise. Radio transmissions revealed increasing confusion among the pilots, with the flight leader reporting his compasses were malfunctioning and he couldn't find land. The last transmission was eerily calm, the leader telling his squadron to stay together, that when the first plane dropped to 10 gallons of fuel, they would all ditch together. A rescue plane sent to find them also disappeared, adding 13 more souls to the mystery. Despite massive searches covering thousands of square miles, no wreckage was ever definitively identified. The ocean off Florida's coast holds many secrets, but few as haunting as the fate of those who flew into clear skies and never returned. Beneath Antarctica's ice sheet, scientists have discovered over 400 subglacial lakes, liquid water that has been isolated from the surface for potentially millions of years. Lake Vostok, the largest, lies under 2.5 miles of ice, yet remains liquid due to geothermal heat and pressure. When Russian scientists finally breached the lake in 2012, they found evidence of unique life forms, organisms that evolved in complete isolation, in permanent darkness, creating an alien ecosystem on our own planet. But the mysteries multiply with each discovery. Magnetic anomalies suggest massive metal deposits or structures beneath the lake. Some readings indicate the water is unusually warm in places, suggesting active thermal vents. What life might thrive in these hidden waters? What secrets has the ice preserved for millions of years? Antarctica guards these lakes jealously, making research dangerous and expensive, ensuring these underwater worlds remain largely unexplored. The Phaistos disk, discovered in Crete in 1908, presents us with a form of writing that appears nowhere else in the archaeological record. This fired clay disk, about 6 inches in diameter, contains 241 symbols spiraling from the edge to the center on both sides. The symbols were pressed into the clay using stamps, making this possibly the earliest known example of movable type, predating Gutenberg by 2,000 years. But we cannot read it. The symbols include human figures, plants, animals, and tools, arranged in groups separated by vertical lines, suggesting words or phrases. Dozens of translation attempts have been made, each claiming to reveal prayers, astronomical observations, or military records. Yet none have been verified. The disk might be the only surviving example of a lost writing system, a single page from a vanished civilization's library. It sits in the Heraclean Museum, its spiral of symbols keeping their silence. A message we're desperate to read, but cannot understand. In Japan's Aokigahara Forest, known as the Suicide Forest, mysteries extend beyond its tragic reputation. This dense woodland at the base of Mount Fuji exhibits magnetic anomalies so strong that compasses fail, phones lose signal, and GPS devices provide incorrect readings. The forest floor, formed from hardened lava from Fuji's last eruption in 864 CE, creates underground caverns and ice caves that remain frozen even in summer. Local legends speak of yurei, spirits of the dead, who lure visitors from marked paths. But the scientific mysteries are equally compelling. The forest is eerily quiet, its dense trees and spongy floor absorbing sound so effectively that hikers report becoming disoriented within minutes of leaving trails. Some researchers have detected unusual electromagnetic frequencies that could affect human psychology, possibly explaining the forest's dark reputation. Trees grow in twisted patterns that botanists struggle to explain, and certain areas experience temperature drops that defy the surrounding climate. Aokigahara keeps its secrets wrapped in silence and shadow, a place where the line between natural and supernatural blurs like morning mist. The Copper Scroll, found among the Dead Sea Scrolls in 1952, differs from all other scrolls in material and message. While others were written on papyrus or leather, this was engraved on copper, and instead of religious texts, it contains what appears to be a treasure map. The scroll lists 64 locations where vast amounts of gold, silver, and religious artifacts were supposedly hidden, totaling enough wealth to fund a small nation. But the locations use reference points that no longer exist or cannot be identified. Some researchers believe it describes the hidden treasures of the Second Temple, concealed before the Roman destruction in 70 CE. Others think it's an ancient fantasy, a work of fiction. Attempts to follow its directions have found nothing, leading some to suggest the treasure was already recovered in ancient times. The Copper Scroll remains our only potential map to one of history's greatest treasures, written in metal to survive the ages, yet too cryptic to decode. Moving westward through the American frontier, we find the mystery of the Lost Dutchman's gold mine, hidden somewhere in Arizona's Superstition Mountains. Jacob Waltz, known as the Dutchman despite being German, allegedly discovered a rich gold mine in the 1800s, bringing out enough gold to live comfortably while keeping the location secret. On his deathbed in 1891, he gave clues to its location, describing landmarks and providing a crude map. Since then, hundreds have searched and many have died in the harsh desert mountains, but the mine remains unfound. Some claim to have seen the mine's entrance, describing it as concealed by a rock formation that looks different from every angle. Others report finding evidence of Spanish mining operations from centuries earlier. The Superstition Mountains earned their name from Native American beliefs that the mountains were protected by spirits. Whether supernatural or simply natural, something about these mountains seems to swallow those who search too deeply for the Dutchman's gold. In Romania's Buzău Mountains, the Trovants, or growing stones, present a geological mystery that challenges our understanding of mineral formation. These spherical rocks appear to grow, especially after rain, increasing in size over time through a process scientists struggle to fully explain. When cut open, they reveal concentric rings like tree trunks, suggesting age and growth patterns. Some specimens have been observed to move, leaving tracks in the soil, though this may be due to expansion and ground moisture. The stones form through a complex process involving sand deposits and mineral cements. But why they take such unusual shapes and appear to reproduce, with smaller stones budding from larger ones, remains unclear. Local legends claim the stones are alive, sleeping dragon's eggs, or remnants of an ancient civilization's technology. While science offers partial explanations involving unique mineral compositions and water absorption, the Trovants continue to challenge conventional geology, sitting in their valley, slowly growing, keeping their own counsel about the forces that shape them. The Baghdad Battery, discovered in 1936 near Baghdad, Iraq, suggests ancient peoples may have possessed electrical knowledge 2,000 years before Volta's battery. This artifact consists of a clay jar containing a copper cylinder and an iron rod separated by an asphalt plug. When filled with an acidic liquid like vinegar or wine, it produces about 1 volt of electricity. But what did ancient Mesopotamians need electricity for? Some suggest electroplating gold onto silver objects. Others propose medical uses, and still others believe it held religious significance. Multiple similar jars have been found, suggesting this wasn't a unique creation. The implications are staggering, hinting that ancient civilizations possessed knowledge we've assumed was modern. Yet no wires or electrical devices from this period have been found, leaving us with a battery that powered something we can only imagine. Off the coast of Japan lies Yonaguni Monument's sister mystery, the underwater structures near Okinawa, where massive stone formations rest beneath 90 feet of water. These structures include what appears to be a massive arch, perfectly carved steps, and right-angled walls that nature rarely produces. If artificial, they would date to when sea levels were lower, possibly 12,000 years ago or more. Marine archaeologists have found what look like carved faces, including one resembling a massive human head with clearly defined features. Coral growth patterns suggest different sections have been submerged for varying lengths of time, as if the structures sank in stages. Local fishermen have long known of these sites, calling them the palaces of the sea gods. Whether carved by human hands or shaped by unique geological forces, these underwater formations remind us that the ocean holds histories we're only beginning to discover. The Hessdalen Lights in Norway have been observed and studied since the 1940s, yet remain unexplained despite decades of scientific investigation. These lights appear in a valley in central Norway, floating through the air, sometimes hovering for hours, sometimes speeding away at incredible velocities. They come in various colors: white, yellow, red, and can be as large as houses or as small as basketballs. Scientists have established observation stations with sophisticated equipment, confirming the lights are real, not hallucinations or conventional aircraft. The phenomena seems connected to the valley's unique geology, with high mineral content and electromagnetic anomalies. Some readings suggest the lights might be a form of plasma, created by the valley acting as a natural battery. But this doesn't explain all observed behaviors. The lights appear more frequently during periods of solar activity, suggesting a cosmic connection. Hessdalen Valley continues to produce these lights regularly, offering scientists a natural laboratory for studying phenomena that exists at the edge of our understanding. Beneath the Vatican lies a secret archive containing 85 kilometers of shelving, holding documents that span 12 centuries. While not technically secret anymore, renamed the Vatican Apostolic Archive, most of its contents remain inaccessible to researchers. Among the known treasures are letters from Michelangelo, Mary Queen of Scots' plea for mercy before her execution, and documents from the trial of Galileo. But what mysteries lie in the unexplored sections? Persistent rumors speak of evidence of extraterrestrial contact, suppressed gospels, and documentation of miracles that the Church chose not to publicize. The archives contain records of the Knights Templar trials, potentially holding information about their alleged treasures and secret knowledge. Some researchers believe the archives contain proof of historical events that would rewrite our understanding of the past. With limited access granted only to select scholars and vast sections still being catalogued, the Vatican archives remain one of the world's great repositories of hidden knowledge. The Longyu Caves in China represent one of the most massive underground excavations in human history, yet no historical records mention their construction. Discovered accidentally in 1992, these caverns were carved from solid siltstone, with the removed material totaling roughly 1 million cubic meters. The caves feature precise tool marks, parallel grooves covering every surface, suggesting a level of organization and planning that would have required thousands of workers. Yet local history, usually meticulous in recording major projects, contains no mention of this massive undertaking. The caves show no signs of habitation, no soot from torches, no inscriptions to indicate their purpose. Dating suggests they were created over 2,000 years ago. How did ancient workers see in the darkness to maintain such precision? Where did the excavated material go? Why create such massive spaces only to abandon them? The Longyu Caves remain silent, their perfectly carved walls reflecting questions back at those who ask them. In the Sahara Desert, satellites have revealed hundreds of mysterious stone structures called desert kites, massive hunting traps or ceremonial sites that stretch for miles across the landscape. These V-shaped stone walls, some dating back 9,000 years, funnel into enclosed spaces, presumably to trap animals. But their scale suggests something more than simple hunting. Some formations are so large they can only be fully appreciated from the air, resembling the Nazca Lines in their apparent design for celestial observers. Recent discoveries show these structures extend from Saudi Arabia through Jordan, Syria, and into Kazakhstan, suggesting a shared culture or knowledge across vast distances. Who coordinated this massive construction project across thousands of miles? The desert has preserved these stone messages, but sand and time have buried their meaning. The Minnesota Iceman, displayed at fairs across America in the 1960s, presented viewers with what appeared to be a frozen prehistoric human or unknown primate. The body, encased in a block of ice, showed features that didn't match any known species, with long arms, a primitive face, and hair covering most of its body. Renowned scientists who examined it, including Ivan Sanderson and Bernard Heuvelmans, believed it might be genuine, possibly a surviving Neanderthal or unknown hominid. The FBI became interested when the possibility arose that it might be a murder victim. Then the original disappeared, replaced by an admitted model, and the owner changed his story multiple times. Was the original an elaborate hoax that fooled experts? Or did someone discover and then hide evidence of an unknown species? The mystery dissolved into traveling sideshows and conflicting testimonies, leaving only grainy photographs and the testimony of scientists who insisted they saw something that shouldn't exist. The Utsuro Buni, or hollow ship, appeared off the coast of Japan in 1803, according to multiple independent historical accounts. Fishermen reported finding a strange, round vessel washed ashore, containing a beautiful woman with pale skin and red hair, dressed in unknown fabrics. She carried a box she wouldn't let anyone examine and spoke a language no one recognized. The vessel itself was described as metallic on top, with glass or crystal, windows, its bottom covered in iron plates. Inside were mysterious symbols and provisions unlike anything known in Japan. The woman was put back to sea in her vessel, disappearing into the Pacific. What makes this account remarkable is its consistency across different sources and the detailed drawings that accompany the texts, showing a craft that resembles modern UFO descriptions yet predates them by over a century. Was this an early encounter with travelers from another land, or something stranger still? Oak Island's money pit has swallowed fortunes, lives, and 2 centuries of excavation attempts. Yet its treasure, if any exists, remains hidden beneath layers of floods and booby traps. Discovered in 1795, the pit revealed platforms of oak logs every 10 feet, suggesting deliberate construction. At 90 feet, a stone with cryptic symbols was found, allegedly translating to 40 feet below, 2 million pounds lie buried. Excavations have revealed coconut fiber, uncommon in Nova Scotia, beach stones from distant shores, and a complex system of flood tunnels that fill the pit with seawater when breached. Theories about the treasure range from pirate gold to Shakespeare's manuscripts to the Holy Grail itself. 6 people have died searching for the treasure, and legend says 7 must die before it's revealed. Modern technology has revealed vast chambers and possible treasure vaults deep below, but the island's defenses have proven remarkably effective across 2 centuries. Oak Island keeps its secret with an engineer's precision, turning every excavation into a battle against water and time. The Taos hum represents a global phenomenon concentrated in this New Mexico town, where residents have reported a persistent low-frequency humming sound since the 1990s. Only about 2% of the population can hear it, describing it as similar to a distant diesel engine that never stops. The hum has driven some to the edge of madness, causing headaches, insomnia, and psychological distress. Scientific equipment often fails to detect any unusual sound, suggesting the hum might not be acoustic, but rather a direct stimulation of the auditory system. Similar hums have been reported worldwide, from Bristol, England to Auckland, New Zealand. Theories range from industrial equipment to electromagnetic radiation to geological phenomena, but no single explanation accounts for all cases. Some sufferers report the hum stops when they leave the area, only to return when they come back. The Taos hum remains a reminder that human perception includes experiences that science cannot yet measure or explain. In the Amazon, the boiling river of Chennai Timpishka flows at temperatures that can cook any creature unfortunate enough to fall in, yet it's located 400 miles from the nearest volcanic activity. This 4-mile stretch of river maintains temperatures between 120 and 200 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to brew tea or cause 3rd-degree burns in seconds. Local shamans have known of it for generations, considering it sacred, but science only acknowledged its existence in 2011. Geothermal features typically require volcanic activity, but this river's heat source remains mysterious. One theory suggests a unique fault system channels geothermal heat from deep within the Earth, but the exact mechanism isn't fully understood. The river creates its own ecosystem, with specialized organisms thriving in temperatures that would kill most life. Steam rises through the jungle canopy, creating an otherworldly atmosphere where the Amazon's green luxury meets geological violence. The Codex Gigas, also known as the Devil's Bible, is the largest medieval manuscript in existence, weighing 165 pounds and requiring 2 people to lift. Legend says a monk created it in a single night with the devil's help, a story seemingly supported by analysis showing the entire book was written by one person in remarkably consistent handwriting. Creating this 800-page book should have taken decades, yet the writing shows no signs of age, disease, or mood variation that would occur over such a time span. The Codex contains a full-page illustration of the devil, unusual for religious manuscripts, facing a full-page illustration of the kingdom of heaven. Throughout its history, the book has been associated with misfortune, disease, and war, leading some to believe it's cursed. Missing pages fuel speculation about removed content too dangerous to preserve. The manuscript currently resides in Stockholm, its creation a mystery that challenges our understanding of human capability and dedication. Beneath the waters of Lake Michigan lies something that shouldn't exist according to conventional archaeology, a stone circle reminiscent of Stonehenge discovered in 2007. Located at a depth of 40 feet, the structure consists of stones arranged in a circle 40 feet in diameter. One stone appears to bear a carved image of a mastodon, which went extinct over 10,000 years ago. If genuine, this would place human activity in the region far earlier than currently accepted. The stones would have been above water during the Ice Age, when lake levels were much lower. Local Native American oral traditions speak of ancient structures beneath the lake, stories long dismissed as mythology. The cold freshwater has preserved the formation remarkably well, but also makes detailed study difficult. Some researchers suggest it might be a natural formation that coincidentally resembles human construction, while others see clear evidence of deliberate arrangement. Lake Michigan guards this secret beneath its waves, another piece in the puzzle of pre-Columbian American history. The Green Children of Woolpit emerged from the Suffolk countryside in 12th century England, their skin green as spring leaves, speaking an unknown language, refusing all food except raw beans. According to contemporary chronicles, these 2 children, a brother and sister, were found by villagers near wolf pits. The boy, weakened and frightened, died soon after their discovery, but the girl survived, gradually losing her green coloring as she adapted to normal food. When she learned to speak English, she claimed they came from St. Martin's Land, a place of eternal twilight where everything was green. She described hearing church bells and suddenly finding themselves in Woolpit, unable to return home. Some historians suggest they were Flemish refugees, their skin discolored by malnutrition, their language simply unfamiliar Dutch. Others propose more exotic explanations, from parallel dimensions to underground civilizations. The girl eventually married and lived a normal life in King's Lynn, but never forgot her strange origins. The Green Children remain one of medieval England's most peculiar mysteries, a tale that sits uneasily between folklore and historical record, reminding us that the past holds stories stranger than any fiction we might create. The sailing stones of death, Valley's racetrack at Playa, have mystified observers for decades. Massive rocks that move across the desert floor, leaving trails in the dried mud. Yet no one had seen them move until recently. Some stones weigh over 600 pounds, yet their trails show they've traveled hundreds of feet, sometimes changing direction, sometimes moving in parallel lines as if racing. In 2014, scientists finally captured the movement on camera, revealing that under rare conditions, thin sheets of ice form at night, and when these break up, wind pushes them against the rocks, causing movement. Yet this explanation doesn't account for all observed phenomena, particularly stones that seem to have moved uphill or against prevailing winds. The playa holds its conferences of stones in silence, their trails writing messages across the ancient lakebed that speak of patience and persistence, of movement so slow that human observation almost misses them entirely. In the waters off Sweden, the Baltic Sea anomaly rests 300 feet below the surface, a massive circular object 200 feet in diameter that has defied explanation since its discovery in 2011. Sonar images show what appears to be a craft or structure with corridors, ramps, and a staircase leading to a dark hole. Samples taken from the object have revealed metals that nature doesn't normally form in these configurations. Electronic equipment malfunctions near it, cameras stop working, and satellite phones lose signal directly above it. The object appears to have skid marks behind it, as if it crashed and slid along the ocean floor before coming to rest. Some researchers note its resemblance to the Millennium Falcon from Star Wars, though it predates the film by potentially thousands of years. The Swedish government has restricted access to the site, citing safety concerns, adding another layer to the mystery. Whatever rests on the Baltic floor challenges our understanding of what should exist in Earth's oceans. The Overtown Bridge in Scotland has earned the chilling nickname Dog Suicide Bridge, after more than 600 dogs have leaped from the same spot since the 1950s, with 50 dying from the 50-foot fall. The dogs, always long-nosed breeds like collies and retrievers, jump from the same side of the bridge on clear, sunny days. Survivors, if walked across again, often try to jump a second time. Scientists have proposed various theories, from acoustic anomalies only dogs can hear to the scent of minks below, but none fully explain the compulsion. Local legends speak of thin places, where the boundary between worlds grows permeable. Whatever calls to these dogs remains inaudible and invisible to humans, a siren song that speaks to canine senses in ways we cannot comprehend. The bridge stands as a monument to the mysteries of animal perception and the possibility that other species experience reality in ways fundamentally different from our own. The Sodder children vanished on Christmas Eve, 1945, when their family home in West Virginia burned to the ground, yet no bodies were found in the ashes. 5 of the 10 Sodder children supposedly died in the fire, but the bones that should have remained, even in an intense blaze, were never recovered. The parents received mysterious phone calls before the fire. Their phone lines were cut, and their trucks wouldn't start when they tried to drive for help. Years later, the mother received a photograph of a young man who resembled one of her missing sons, with a cryptic message on the back. Private investigators found evidence the children might have been kidnapped and raised elsewhere, possibly because of the father's outspoken criticism of Mussolini, angering local Italian community members. The billboard the family erected, asking, "What happened to our children?" stood for decades, a monument to questions that outlive those who ask them. In India's village of Kodinhi, twins are born at a rate 300 times the global average, a medical anomaly that science cannot explain. This village of 2,000 families has over 400 pairs of twins, with the rate increasing rather than decreasing over time. The phenomenon began only 3 generations ago, suggesting an environmental trigger rather than genetics. Water, soil, and air have been tested, finding nothing unusual. Diet studies reveal no significant differences from surrounding villages where twin births remain normal. Doctors who have studied Kodinhi report that women from the village who move away continue having twins, while women who move to the village don't show increased twin births, suggesting a genetic component that somehow activated recently. The village has become known as Twin Town, its streets filled with double visions that challenge our understanding of heat, human reproduction, and the factors that influence it. The WOW signal, detected on August 15, 1977, remains the strongest candidate for an extraterrestrial communication ever recorded. The signal lasted 72 seconds, came from the direction of Sagittarius, and was so striking that astronomer Jerry Eman wrote, "Wow," in the margin of the printout. It exhibited all the characteristics expected of an interstellar broadcast: narrow bandwidth, high intensity, and a frequency that hydrogen naturally emits, which any intelligent civilization would recognize as universal. Despite numerous attempts, the signal has never repeated, leading to debates about its origin. Natural explanations have been proposed, from Earth-based interference to a passing comet, but none perfectly match the signal's characteristics. The WOW signal represents either our first contact with alien intelligence or a cosmic coincidence, so precise it mimics what we expect alien contact to look like. Either possibility profoundly affects our understanding of our place in the universe. The stone spheres of Costa Rica, ranging from a few centimeters to over 2 meters in diameter, were crafted with such precision that they're nearly perfect spheres, a feat difficult to achieve even with modern technology. Created by the pre-Columbian Diki culture between 200 and 1500 CE, these spheres were carved from granodiorite, a rock so hard it requires specialized tools to shape. How did ancient peoples achieve such mathematical precision without advanced measuring equipment? The spheres' original positions have been lost, moved by treasure hunters seeking gold supposedly hidden beneath them. Local legends speak of the spheres being created by the gods, using thunder and lightning to shape the stone. Some researchers believe they represented celestial bodies or served as territorial markers, but their true purpose remains unknown. Scattered across Costa Rica, these perfect spheres remind us that ancient peoples possessed knowledge and skills we're only beginning to appreciate. Beneath Jerusalem runs Warren's Shaft, an ancient water system that challenges archaeological understanding of Bronze Age engineering capabilities. This vertical shaft, descending over 40 feet through solid rock, was supposedly created 3,000 years ago to provide water access during sieges. But the precision required to connect natural caves with carved tunnels, creating a functional water system, seems beyond the technology available at that time. Recent studies suggest parts of the system might be natural formations modified by humans, but this doesn't explain the sophisticated understanding of hydraulics evident in its design. The shaft connects to Gihon Spring through a complex series of tunnels that would have required advanced planning and engineering knowledge. Some archaeologists believe the system is much older than traditional dating suggests, possibly created by a civilization predating biblical Jerusalem. The tunnels whisper with the sound of ancient water, carrying secrets about engineering knowledge that history says shouldn't have existed. In New Mexico's desert, the Marfa lights have danced across Mitchell Flat for over a century. Mysterious orbs of light that appear, split apart, merge, and vanish without explanation. These lights, varying in color from white to blue to red, move in ways that defy conventional explanation, sometimes remaining stationary, sometimes racing across the desert at impossible speeds. Scientific investigations have ruled out car headlights, atmospheric reflections, and swamp gas. The lights appear regardless of weather conditions, though they're most commonly seen on clear nights. Native American folklore speaks of them as spirit lights, the souls of warriors still protecting their land. Modern physics suggests they might be a form of plasma created by tectonic stress, but this doesn't explain their seemingly intelligent movement patterns. A viewing station built specifically to observe them attracts thousands of visitors annually, all hoping to witness these lights that exist at the boundary between known science and mystery. The Karnak stones in France constitute the largest collection of megalithic structures in the world. Over 3,000 prehistoric standing stones arranged in perfect rows stretching for miles. Erected around 4500 BCE, these stones gradually increase in size from east to west, suggesting deliberate planning on a massive scale. Local legends claim they're a Roman legion turned to stone by Merlin, but their true purpose remains enigmatic. Some alignments correspond to astronomical events, particularly lunar observations, suggesting they served as a vast celestial calculator. But why invest such enormous effort in moving and arranging thousands of multi-ton stones? Recent discoveries using ground-penetrating radar reveal the site is even more extensive than visible above ground, with buried structures and alignments extending far beyond the known stones. The Karnak stones stand as Europe's most impressive prehistoric mystery, a library written in granite that we lack the knowledge to read. The Isdal woman, found dead in Norway's Death Valley in 1970, carried no identification, her labels removed from designer clothes, her fingerprints sanded away, surrounded by foreign currency and fake passports. Autopsy revealed she'd consumed 50 sleeping pills, yet evidence suggested she was also set on fire while possibly still alive. Investigation uncovered she'd traveled throughout Europe using at least 8 false identities, staying in hotels under different names, speaking multiple languages fluently. Witnesses described her as elegant but nervous, constantly checking over her shoulder. Her dental work suggested Eastern European origin, but isotope analysis of her teeth indicated she'd grown up in Germany or France. Coded messages found in her luggage remain undeciphered. Norwegian police eventually closed the case, declaring it suicide, but released documents decades later reveal suspicions of espionage during the Cold War's height. The Isdal woman took her secrets to an unmarked grave, her true identity erased as thoroughly as if she'd never existed. Lake Antikythera in Canada witnessed an entire Inuit village vanish without explanation. In 1930, according to fur trapper Joe LaBelle, who arrived to find meals abandoned mid-preparation, rifles left behind, and sled dogs dead from starvation, still tied to trees. The village of 30 people had disappeared so suddenly they left everything, including clothing needed for survival in the Arctic. Graves had been opened and emptied, something unthinkable in Inuit culture. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police investigated, but found no evidence of where the villagers went or why they left. Strange lights had been seen in the sky around the time of the disappearance. Skeptics claim the story was embellished or entirely fabricated, but government documents confirm an investigation took place. Whether 30 people vanished into the Arctic air, or whether the story itself is the mystery. Lake Antikythera represents our fear of communities that simply cease to exist, leaving only questions frozen in the permafrost. The Baigong pipes in China present a technological anomaly that shouldn't exist. Iron pipes embedded in rock dated to a time before humans supposedly possessed metallurgy skills. Found near a pyramid-shaped mountain in Qinghai province, these pipes run into the mountain and down to a nearby salt lake. Some pipes are as small as toothpicks, displaying a sophistication that challenges archaeological timelines. Testing reveals they're made of iron with silicon dioxide and calcium oxide, a composition suggesting advanced knowledge of materials. Local legends speak of an ancient extraterrestrial landing site, claims dismissed by scientists who propose natural explanations involving fossilized tree roots. But the uniform diameter and apparent connection system suggest deliberate construction. The Chinese government has restricted access to the site, officially for preservation, but fueling speculation about what they might have discovered. The pipes remain embedded in their ancient stone, testimonies to either natural processes we don't understand or technology that existed before history says it should. The Devil's Kettle in Minnesota swallows half of the Brule River into a hole that seems to have no outlet, consuming thousands of gallons of water per second that simply vanishes. Scientists have poured dye into the kettle that never resurfaces, dropped GPS trackers that disappear without signal, and conducted every conceivable test to find where the water emerges. The assumption is it must rejoin the river somewhere downstream, but no evidence supports this. The water enters a pothole and seemingly exits our reality. Local stories tell of objects thrown in appearing in completely different water systems, though these remain unverified. Geologists propose the water travels through underground channels too deep and complex to trace, but the Devil's Kettle remains one of North America's most puzzling geological features, a portal where water exits the observable world, challenging our assumption that what goes in must come out somewhere. The Eilean Lighthouse mystery began when 3 lighthouse keepers vanished from a remote Scottish island in December 1900, leaving behind a scene that suggested something impossible had occurred. The lighthouse was found in working order, the clock stopped, the beds unmade, and an overturned chair suggesting hasty departure. The log's final entry described severe winds and waves of unprecedented height. Yet the weather on the mainland had been calm. One set of oilskins remained, indicating someone left without weather protection during an apparent storm. Personal effects remained untouched, ruling out robbery. Theories range from giant waves that somehow took all 3 men to murder-suicide to supernatural intervention. The replacement keepers reported strange voices calling from the sea and unexplained crying sounds. The Atlantic keeps the answer, its grey waters having swallowed 3 men so completely that not even their bodies ever washed ashore, leaving only questions that echo like the lighthouse beam across dark waters. In Turkey, Göbekli Tepe rewrites human history with every stone uncovered. A temple complex built 11,000 years ago, 7 millennia before Stonehenge or the pyramids. This shouldn't exist according to conventional archaeology, built by hunter-gatherers who supposedly lacked the organization for such monumental architecture. Massive T-shaped pillars, some 20 feet tall and weighing up to 20 tons, are decorated with sophisticated carvings of animals, some now extinct. The site was deliberately buried around 8000 BCE, preserved as if its builders knew future generations would need to find it. Only 5% has been excavated, with ground-penetrating radar revealing at least 20 more stone circles waiting below. The implications stagger the mind, suggesting organized religion preceded agriculture, that spiritual needs drove civilization's birth rather than material ones. Each pillar seems positioned with astronomical precision, creating a calendar or star map. We're only beginning to decode. Göbekli Tepe stands as proof that our ancestors possessed knowledge and capabilities that history has forgotten. The Tamam Shud case, also known as the Somerton Man, began when an unidentified body was found on an Australian beach in 1948, carrying no identification, but holding a scrap of paper with the Persian words Tamam Shud, meaning it is ended. The phrase came from a rare edition of Omar Khayyam's poetry, later found with a coded message that remains uncracked despite decades of cryptographic analysis. The man's clothing had all labels removed, his dental records matched no one, and his fingerprints weren't in any database. Witnesses reported seeing him alive on the beach the evening before, moving his arm as if still living. His body showed no signs of violence, but pathologists suspected poisoning by an undetectable substance. Connections to a nurse who reportedly fainted upon seeing the body, a mysterious phone number, and possible espionage activities during the early Cold War add layers to the mystery. The Somerton man was buried without a name, taking with him a code that might explain who he was and why someone wanted him erased from existence. The moving forest of Romania challenges our understanding of botanical behavior, as trees in certain areas have been documented walking up to 20 meters over several years. In the Carpathian Mountains, time-lapse photography reveals trees slowly migrating, their root systems lifting and replanting in a form of extremely slow locomotion. Scientists propose this might be a response to soil conditions or water sources, but the coordinated movement of entire forest sections suggests something more complex. Local folklore speaks of enchanted forests that relocate to avoid danger or pursue better conditions. The trees themselves appear healthy, showing no signs of the stress such movement should cause. Some researchers theorize underground fungal networks might coordinate this movement, the forest acting as a superorganism with intentions we cannot fathom. Whether natural adaptation or something unprecedented, these walking woods remind us that plant intelligence might operate on timescales and in ways that human observation barely perceives. In Egypt's Saqqara, the ancient Egyptians created the Serapeum, an underground necropolis containing massive granite boxes that challenge our understanding of ancient capabilities. These boxes, weighing up to 100 tons each, were carved from single blocks of granite with precision that modern stonemasons struggle to replicate. The surfaces are polished to mirror smoothness, the corners perfect right angles, accurate to fractions of millimeters. Each box required transportation through narrow tunnels and placement in underground chambers, feats of engineering that seem impossible with Bronze Age technology. The boxes were supposedly sarcophagi for sacred bulls, but no bull remains have been found inside them. Some bear inscriptions, others are blank, and their arrangement suggests purposes beyond simple burial. The granite came from quarries 500 miles away, meaning ancient Egyptians not only carved these perfect boxes, but transported them vast distances underground. The Serapeum boxes remain, their precision mocking our assumptions about ancient technological limitations. The Kentucky meat shower of 1876 remains one of America's strangest meteorological events, when chunks of meat fell from a clear sky over Bath County, covering an area 100 yards long and 50 yards wide. Witnesses described pieces ranging from 2 to 4 inches square falling like large snowflakes. 2 men tasted the meat, declaring it venison or mutton. Samples were preserved and analyzed, with scientists identifying lung tissue, muscle, and cartilage from either horses or human infants, though the latter seems unlikely. Theories ranged from cosmic meat to mass vulture vomiting, though no large group of vultures was seen. The meat appeared fresh, not decomposed, and fell in such quantity that it couldn't have come from a single source. Similar events have been recorded throughout history, suggesting a phenomenon that occurs rarely but repeatedly. The Kentucky meat shower remains preserved in meteorological history, a reminder that sometimes the sky delivers mysteries that defy rational explanation. The zone of silence in Mexico creates an electromagnetic dead zone where radio signals fail, compasses spin wildly, and strange phenomena regularly occur. Located where the states of Durango, Chihuahua, and Coahuila meet, this patch of desert has been compared to the Bermuda Triangle for its mysterious properties. Meteorites fall here with unusual frequency, as if the area attracts cosmic debris. In 1970, an American missile went wildly off course and crashed in the zone, leading to a secretive military recovery operation. Local ranchers report seeing strange lights, finding unusual metal fragments, and encountering beings they describe as tall, blonde humanoids who claim to come from above. Plants and animals in the zone show unusual mutations, growing larger or displaying characteristics not found in surrounding areas. Scientists have detected magnetic anomalies and high levels of magnetite in the soil, but these don't fully explain all reported phenomena. The zone of silence continues to defy explanation, a place where the normal rules of physics seem negotiable. Beneath Ecuador's Taos cave system lies what some claim is a metallic library created by a lost civilization, though no expedition has successfully located it. Father Carlo Crespi claimed to have seen golden plates, inscribed with an unknown language, brought to him by indigenous peoples who knew of secret cave entrances. In 1976, astronaut Neil Armstrong joined an expedition to explore the caves, adding credibility to the mystery. The cave system extends for miles, much unexplored, with perfectly squared tunnels that seem artificially carved. Local shore people consider the caves sacred, claiming they contain a library left by beings who came from the stars. Whether this metallic library exists or represents a confusion of natural formations with human desires for lost knowledge, the Taos caves remain largely unexplored, their depths potentially holding evidence of pre-Columbian transoceanic contact or something even more extraordinary. The Comte de Saint-Germain appeared throughout European courts in the 18th century, claiming to be centuries old, speaking every language fluently, and possessing knowledge of future events that proved accurate. Historical records confirm his presence at significant events across decades, always appearing the same age, roughly 45. He demonstrated abilities that seemed impossible, including removing flaws from diamonds, creating paintings whose colors glowed with unnatural brilliance, and playing any musical instrument perfectly without training. Voltaire called him a man who knows everything and never dies. He claimed to have known Jesus Christ personally, to have attended the wedding at Cana, and possessed the secret of immortality. After supposedly dying in 1784, reliable witnesses reported seeing him at significant historical events for the next century. Whether elaborate impostor, time traveler, or something else entirely, the Comte de Saint-Germain left a trail through history that defies conventional explanation. The bloop, recorded by underwater microphones in 1997, was an ultra-low frequency sound from the Pacific Ocean's depths that suggested something massive and alive. The sound's profile matched that of a biological source, but whatever produced it would need to be far larger than any known creature, including blue whales. The sound originated near the coordinates that H.P. Lovecraft gave for the sunken city of R'lyeh, adding an eerie literary connection, while scientists later attributed it to ice quakes in Antarctica. The original biological signature remains puzzling, and similar sounds continue to be detected. The ocean's depths remain largely unexplored, with new species discovered regularly. The bloop reminds us that 71% of Earth's surface remains alien territory, possibly harboring life forms that dwarf our imagination's limits. The Glastonbury Zodiac sprawls across Somerset, England, a supposed arrangement of natural and artificial features, creating a massive star map 10 miles in diameter. Discovered through aerial photography in the 1920s, the zodiac allegedly uses roads, waterways, field boundaries, and earthworks to form astrological symbols visible only from great height. If intentional, it would represent prehistoric planning on an unprecedented scale, created by people who could never have seen their complete work. Skeptics argue it's pareidolia, seeing patterns where none exist, like finding shapes in clouds. But certain alignments seem too precise for coincidence, and local legends speak of ancient giants who arranged the landscape according to celestial patterns. Whether ancient human creation, cosmic coincidence, or modern imagination projecting meaning onto random topography, the Glastonbury Zodiac raises questions about humanity's relationship with landscape and sky. As we near the conclusion of our journey through these 100 mysteries, each one has added another layer to the vast tapestry of human wonder and questioning. These unexplained phenomena remind us that despite our technological advancement and scientific understanding, the world remains full of shadows that resist illumination, puzzles that refuse solution, and wonders that transcend explanation. Perhaps in our dreams tonight, some of these mysteries will reveal their secrets to us, speaking in the language of sleep where logic bends and impossibilities become possible. Our final mystery takes us to the depths of the Superstition Mountains in Arizona, where the Peralta stones supposedly reveal the location of vast gold deposits hidden by Spanish conquistadors. These stone maps, discovered in the 1940s, contain symbols, Spanish text, and cryptic markings that many believe point to the legendary Lost Dutchman's mine, or perhaps an even greater treasure. The stones show a heart, a dagger, a priest, and a horse, along with measurements and directions that seem to indicate specific locations. Yet everyone who follows these maps finds different interpretations, leading to different places, as if the stones themselves shift their meaning depending on who reads them. Some researchers believe the stones are modern forgeries. Others insist they're authentic, but deliberately misleading, designed to protect the treasure they supposedly reveal. The stones have inspired countless expeditions into the harsh desert mountains, where the heat shimmers with promise and danger in equal measure. Whether genuine artifacts or clever hoaxes, the Peralta stones embody humanity's eternal quest for hidden treasures, both material and spiritual, reminding us that sometimes the search itself becomes more valuable than any gold we might find. And so, dear traveler, we come to the gentle shore of our journey's end, having sailed through 100 mysteries that span continents and centuries, from the depths of ancient oceans to the vastness of desert skies. Each mystery we've explored tonight is like a star in the constellation of human curiosity, points of light that guide us through the darkness of the unknown. As you drift now towards sleep, perhaps you carry with you a favorite mystery from our journey, one that will weave itself into your dreams and transform into something beautiful and strange. These unexplained wonders remind us that the world is far more magical than we often remember in our daily lives, that beneath the surface of the ordinary lies an extraordinary realm where anything might be possible. The mysteries we've shared tonight are gifts from the past to the present, invitations to wonder, to question, to imagine. They tell us that our ancestors looked at the same stars we see, asked similar questions, and left behind puzzles for us to ponder. In your dreams tonight, you might walk through the underground cities of Derinkuyu, sail with the Mary Celeste across calm seas, or stand before Easter Island's silent moai as they share their secrets in the language of dreams. If this gentle exploration of history's mysteries has helped you find tranquility tonight, if your eyelids have grown heavy with the weight of wonders, please consider subscribing to join our community of peaceful explorers. Your subscription helps us create more of these restful journeys through the fascinating and mysterious. And remember, these mysteries will be here whenever you need them, faithful companions for future nights when sleep seems distant and your mind seeks gentle engagement. As you close your eyes now, letting the last of today's tensions dissolve into the softness of your pillow, remember that you are part of the greatest mystery of all, consciousness itself, aware and wondering, dreaming at the edge of an infinite cosmos filled with questions we may never answer, but will never stop asking. Sleep well, gentle dreamer. May your rest be deep, your dreams be filled with wonder, and may you wake refreshed, carrying with you the magical possibility that somewhere in this vast world, perhaps one of these mysteries is waiting just for you to solve it. Until we meet again in this peaceful space between waking and sleeping, sweet dreams and gentle rest.